Welcome to the channel. Strand 5, question number 4, trigonometry. The question is solve sine theta equals -1 over square root of 2 for the range of the theta on the domain from 0 degrees to 360 degrees. So solving from that range, 0 to 360 degrees. What this question means is, on the graph of y is equal to sine theta, where exactly is the graph equal to -1 over square root of 2? Now, here's the diagrammatic information. So on the Cartesian plane, that's 1, -1, pi is 180 degrees, 2 pi is 360 degrees, from 0 to 360 degrees, 0 to 360 degrees. The graph of sine theta starts from 0 and then goes that way and then crosses at 180 degrees and then comes this way. That's the graph of y is equal to sine theta. Now, the value -1 over square root of 2, -1 over square root of 2, that value in decimal is -0.71. So on the y-axis, -0.71 will be approximately over here, which is -1 over square root of 2, -0.71. So if I go across to the graph, that's the first point, that's the second point. So the graph of y is equal to sine theta is equal to -1 over square root of 2, that is -0.71 at this point, let's call it point 1, and at this point. So the question is asking, what is the corresponding angles? What is this angle over here and this angle over here when the graph range, the range value is equal to -1 over square root of 2. So let's try to calculate that. So the first thing to do over here is solve that equation, sine theta equals -1 over square root of 2. So the value theta will be equal to, sine goes the other side, becomes inverse sine inverse of -1 over square root of 2. How do you find sine inverse of -1 over square root of 2? Just use the calculator. So theta will be equal to, on the calculator press shift sign and then open bracket -1 over square root of 2, close bracket, and then press equal, you'll get the value. Let's check on our calculator. So shift and then sign. Shift sign of -1 over square root of 2. Sine inverse of -1 over square root of 2, and then you press equal. The answer is -45 degrees. So working out on the calculator, it gives you -45 degrees. But this cannot be one of the answers because our domain is from 0 to 360 degrees. And then -45 degrees falls behind 0. So we want within the range of 0 to 360 degrees. So what we need to do now is we have to go to the quadrants. So try to recall the quadrants. It is a circle with 4 sections. Quadrant 1, quadrant number 2, quadrant number 3, and quadrant number 4. In this quadrant, all is positive. That's from 0 to 90 degrees. And then in this quadrant, sine is positive, which means cosine and tangent is negative. That is from 0 to 180 degrees. And then in this quadrant, tangent is positive, which means sine and cosine is negative. And then in this quadrant over here, the last one, cosine is positive, which means tangent and sine is negative. A good way to remember ISTC is add sugar to coffee. Add sugar to coffee. So starts from this quadrant over here, goes in an anti-clockwise direction. So this one over here, this is the first quadrant here is theta itself. This one over here is 180 degrees plus. Sorry. The second quadrant is 180 degrees minus theta. The third quadrant is 180 degrees plus theta. And the third quadrant, the last quadrant is 360 degrees minus theta. So that's how the quadrant looks like. You must have learned it in the classroom during your math lessons. So now in order to solve this question, we have to see whether sign is positive or negative. So our sign over here is negative. So go to the quadrant and find out where is sign negative. Over here, all positive, sign positive. Tangent positive, that means sign will be negative over here. So this is one of our quadrant of concern. Cosine positive, that means sign will be negative over here and tangent will be negative. So these two quadrants are our concern. So our first answer will be in quadrant number 3, where the formula is 180 degrees plus theta. So that is equal to 180 degrees plus, but you drop the negative sign. Don't use negative, just put 45. It's very important. Don't use a negative, just use 45 degrees. So 180 degrees plus 45 degrees, you get 225 degrees. So that's your first answer, theta 1. And now you go to the fourth quadrant. Quadrant number 4. And the formula is 360 degrees minus theta. 360 degrees minus theta. That would be 360 degrees minus. Our theta is 45 degrees. Remember to drop the negative sign. Minus 45 degrees. So our second value of theta will be equal to 360 take away 45, which is 315. 315 degrees. So in order to make our answer more presentable, what you can do is, for the marker to be able to easily identify what your answers are, you can just put a line over here. So put a line there, that's the first answer, and a line over there, that's the second answer. And you get 1 mark over here and 1 mark over here. Remember to show out your working as much as possible, so that even if your final answer is wrong, you are awarded partial marks for correct working out. Thanks for watching.